Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Strange and Exiles podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Toirac, and it's my co-host, Daniel Toirac Sr.
Hello, everyone. God bless you all.
Welcome back to another week.
God bless you all. In the name of Jesus Christ, the true Lord and Savior of the world, we celebrate Christmas now. Not Diwali. We celebrate Christmas. Christ, he came to this earth. He came to this world so that he can redeem us and forgive us of our sins. We have been redeemed. We have been forgiven through his birth, his humiliation, and his subsequent death and resurrection. We have the truth, we have the way, and we have the life. I just wanted to preface that with that. Because once again, we're getting a lot of hate comments from the Hindus. They don't like us. The producer on the way home the other day on one of our videos, she read like 15 comments. I don't know. And so, yeah, my brothers over there in humanity, find Christ, okay? Not Isvara, not Brahman, not Vishnu, not Krishna, not any of these other people. Take that picture of Ganesha off your wall. Go to Christ. All right.
Amen.
All right.
And if you're anyone that's probably not a Hindu, make sure you like and subscribe and follow, share, all that stuff anywhere you're listening. Helps out the channel and helps get more people that maybe aren't Christian or aren't believers to look at this that we're talking about and maybe come to Christ.
The Hindus are watching the app. I still don't know how they find it, but whatever. But nobody likes it.
Yeah.
They just leave comments, you know?
Whatever.
It is what it is. I mean, look, we're once again, just like I said last time, Hindus, I know that we have banter between Junior and I only because some of the stuff is just so far out for us. But once again, I'm reading from your book. This is not a Christian book that is talking about what they think. No, this is from a Hindu author who wrote this book. We're just reading it and trying to understand it. That's all we're trying to do. And then, we may make a joke or two in between that, but sorry, that's just my personality, and it is who it is. It is who I am. Today, the producer has adorned the table with a French bulldog with antlers. I don't know where those come from. I don't know what pet shop sells these with antlers, because usually they only have ears. But maybe, maybe in Alaska.
Yeah, probably.
They have, or in the North Pole. The North Pole!
They're a muscular-looking guy, too.
Do you know we went to Publix today? And the bag boy, he was like a jolly guy, you know? But then the more he started talking, the more I suspected, that there was an issue with him. But he kept talking about Christmas movies, and he was like, have you guys ever seen Home Alone? I'm like, yeah, of course I've seen Home Alone. Have you ever seen The Grinch, the original live action with Jim Carrey? Of course we've seen that one. Have you ever seen Polar Express? Yeah, my son was addicted to that movie when he was a kid. And he was like, yeah, because I met somebody that had never seen Polar Express, and I was like shocked. By the time the conversation got to this point, I gave your mom the look like, let's go. Because then he's going to start running down every Christmas movie.
Yeah.
And then I didn't want to be there, for all of that. So anyway, I just thought it was funny.
Yeah. Okay. Well, now going into this week, last week we finished
Publix hires anybody. All right, go ahead.
Isn't that like one of their things? Like
Yeah. Look, we don't employ diversity, inclusive,ness, but dude, watch out what you were about to say. Because then we're going to get hate mail from...
No, because even they hire 16-year-olds and stuff. Not every company will do that.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something else. No. Yeah, so what are we talking about here?
Last week we finished off the podcast with eschatology, their belief of eschatology.
Yes.
And then now we're going into theodicy, which is the problem of evil. As we were saying at the end of the last episode, it's a very difficult question to ask, and realistically, any Christian man or Christian person, if they were to explain this to you with a hard line, this is the problem of evil answer, probably lying to you. Or they're deluding themselves in some sort of way, probably.
Yep.
Because it's just impossible to answer with limited human knowledge at the end of the day.
Exactly.
So maybe you can explain for us the Hindu answer, or what they believe on the problem of evil.
Okay, but before I do that, let me compare and contrast with what we believe, just so that we have a base foundation of what we believe, so then we could read their stuff. The question of the problem of evil, the problem of sin, it is a question that has eluded pastors for the last many, many years, thousands of years. How do you explain sin entering the world if God is the ultimate creator and God is a pure and holy God, right? It took me forever. I remember when we were up with the men's meeting one month, we brought this up. I spent weeks reading systematic theology books, different authors, just the all of the systematic theology books that are praised by all Protestant pastors. I read them all. Could never find a clear answer on this. The most generally accepted form of the problem of evil and of sin, God creates the heavens and the earth, right? Amongst that creation, he creates his angels, right? So then you have God the Father, you have the pre-incarnate Jesus, and then, which he wasn't called Jesus, that's his earthly name, and then you have the Holy Spirit. So then it's easier to say God the Father, God the Son, and then the Holy Spirit. One of the theories that I actually find, I like it, at least it makes more logical sense for me, is after God created Adam and Eve as the pinnacle of his creation, Satan, previously called Lucifer, he was one of the most beautiful angels up in heaven. He got jealous. He didn't like that, number one, Jesus was the agent of creation. He was haughty, he lifted himself up. Then he sees how God creates the human being, and then he got jealous. He rebelled. He did some sort of campaign, like they have political campaigns. So he obviously got a third of the angels up there to back him, and then they rebelled, and then thus enters into humanity the possibility of sin. It begins with Satan, and then it culminates himself, Genesis chapter 3, when Satan goes into the Garden of Eden and he deceives Eve, and then subsequently Adam. They both eat from the tree of knowledge, where God clearly told them, you can eat everything except from that one tree, and if you do so, you will die. Satan deceives, because that's what he did. That's one of his name, is the deceiver. He deceived Eve and Adam. They then subsequently fell. Then sin officially enters humanity through the agent of chaos, Satan, the devil, the accuser, the deceiver. So then that's how sin subsequently entered the world. The big question that I've always had, and this is the thing I can never get a good answer from any book, is if God is omniscient, did he know that was going to happen?
I have to assume yes.
He creates humankind perfect, blameless, tells them don't eat from this because if you do, you will die. And then sure enough, they eat from it, and then they end up dying spiritually, and they were cast out of the Garden of Eden. But in other words, see, I have to believe that if I believe that God is sovereign and omniscient, then he already knew that mankind would fall. So that is the Christian perspective of evil, of sin. Now let's see what in Hinduism, what they believe. Hinduism does not hold with the real substantive existence of absolute evil, personified as Satan. So in other words, in Hinduism, they do not believe that there is a personification or a substantive existence of evil, which is what we believe as Satan. We believe, along with, well, I guess the whole Abrahamic coalition, the Jews, they believe in Satan. The Muslims, they believe in Shaitan. They call him Satan. The Hindus do not believe that. Now I'm going to tell you why. The entire universe is a projection of a perfect Brahman who is one without a second, upon which the entire cosmos and everything in it is dependent and subservient. Because the universe is a projection from within the very being of the divine, it must therefore itself be divine, as the Veda declares. All this is nothing but Brahman. In other words, since everything created, everything you see is a projection or an emanation from Brahman, and Brahman is pure and perfect and holy, then obviously there could be nothing that is evil because everything comes from him. You get that? Everything that can be seen, heard about, and experienced is nothing but Brahman, the divine. Evil is not a living entity, but a moral condition based upon relativity and conditioned by time, place, and circumstance. The entire spectrum of human experience and consciousness is qualified by contrast, or in other words, pairs of opposites. Good and evil, hot and cold, joy and sorrow, success and failure, these are all conditioned and finite, as is the universe of time and space, matter and energy. Did they give you a clear answer there?
Not really.
So they tell you if everything is created in contrast, hot and cold, joy and sorrow, success and failure, good and evil. Okay, but where did evil come from?
Yeah. They say that evil is not a living entity, but a moral condition. So I guess their answer is that it's based on us doing evil. But then where did it come from?
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Okay. I understand that, obviously, looking at it from a not even a psychological, from a rational perspective. Forget religion here. If I say somebody does something evil, you would say, okay, he had mommy issues or daddy issues, or he was something happened to him when he was young. Something traumatized him. What caused him to get there? Okay, I get that. That's from a rational perspective. But I'm talking about the existence of evil. Like, if Brahman is pure and perfect and holy, and everything that he created is pure, perfect, and holy, all of his creation, where did evil come from? I can give you a definitive answer. It may or may not be correct, but I can tell you this is what I believe regarding evil. Evil came from a condition of an angel that wanted to be greater than his position. You know, he was in the heavenly caste system, and then he didn't want to be down in the middle. He wanted to be up in the top. So he decided, you know what? The only way to get to the top is to fight my way there. And then God's perfect creation, because what did God say in Genesis 1 and 2 after every single day? And it was good. Good meaning perfect. And it was good. After he created Adam and Eve, it was good. In other words, they were created perfect in the image of God, not in his actual, the way he looks, because God is spirit, but in the image, in the sense that they were given all of the perfection of God. But it was the deceiver, Satan, that came in, deceived them, thus calling the fall and allowing sin to enter into the world. And then we, of course, believe that we have been imputed by the sin of Adam. The Muslims do not believe that. But we, the Christians and the Jews, believe that we have been imputed with that sinful nature into all humanity. Subsequent children, generation, they are born into that sinful nature. I gave an example recently, and I said, how is it that a 1-year-old kid instinctively knows how to lie? How does that 1-year-old kid instinctively know how to deceive? He goes and he grabs a cookie from the cookie jar, and then he eats the cookie, and the mom says, did you take a cookie from the cookie jar? And he says no, and there's crumbs and vanilla cream all over his face. The kid, where did he learn to lie? He instinctively knows how to lie because it is now part of his nature. However, Hinduism tells me it is not part of our nature. Everything created is perfect. It is a moral condition. It is now a moral condition. I say, fine, okay, Patel. But then where did the moral condition arise from? Where did it come from? Are you mean to tell me that the creation of Brahman is not perfect? So you mean to tell me that everything that Brahman creates, there is something wrong with it? Because then you have to give me the next answer. Where did it come from? Let's see if they give it to us. Everything in the world is conditioned by time, place, circumstance, and participants. Nothing is of itself either good or evil. Okay, let's go along. Let's go along with this. See, now is when they get really philosophical. The state executes a murderer in order to protect society. A murderer kills a victim for self-satisfaction. It is the motive which determines the moral character of an action, not the action itself. They got deep on that one.
Yeah.
They got deep on it. No. They broke it down.
Yeah.
Like, this is psychology 101 over here. This is philosophy 101. The problem is, once again, they're not telling us where it came from, where the desire to murder came from. You're telling me that it is a moral condition of the world. Nothing is either good or evil. So in other words, if somebody kills somebody, it is his motive for self-satisfaction. Like, he wanted to do it.
Yeah.
He desired to kill something. So in other words, every murder arises from a desire. So there's no longer accidental killings, you know? The basis of Judeo-Christian morality is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Or what is hateful to you, do not do to others. The basis for Hindu morality is this. Virtue is that which brings joy to other living beings. Sin is that which brings suffering to any living being. So instead of their do unto others as you have to do, which obviously it's a way of living where you do good because you don't want people to do, you want people to do good to you. You know, you don't do evil and expect good. You know, if you do evil to somebody, then guess what? You're going to get evil back. They say, live your life to bring joy to others, and it is a sin when you bring suffering to others. Obviously, if you murder someone, you brought suffering to them. Obviously, if you lie to somebody, you brought suffering to them. There is no archdemon in the form of a Lucifer who is at odds with Brahman and contending for souls. The anti-gods, often called demons of Hindu mythology, are beings that are characterized by egoism and selfishness. They will also eventually all be redeemed and liberated, and no being will be separated from the Godhead. The divine nature for eternity, no matter how many millions of births it may take, since each and every living entity is a ray of the divine of Brahman, a photon of light from the sun, which is God. So even the worst people of all, the Charles Mansons, the Hitlers, all of them are going to be reabsorbed back into Brahman eventually. It may just take them more time. It just may take them a couple extra 100,000 births and rebirths for them to be able to do that. So in other words, they're basically telling us here that they don't believe in any sort of a demon devil figure, any Satan. They did not give us an answer of where if everything that comes from Brahman is perfect and pure, where did sin or evil enter? When? How? Who brought it up? But then they skirt it by saying, well, everything is not even good or bad. It's all about contrast. In other words, is there a writing within all of your 5,000 books that you guys call holy? Is there something that says this is the origin of evil? Because prior to that, everything that Brahman created was perfect and pure. I don't know. Now, what about the divine and the non-divine? Human nature is a duality of divine and non-divine nature. So in other words, Danny, you right now, half of you is divine, half of you is not divine. So in other words, they believe that every human being is just like Jesus, the hypostatic union.
Yeah.
For all of you Hindus, you probably never heard of that word. Look it up, hypostatic union. So in other words, you, Danny, you are half divine because part of you, yourself is from Brahman, which is divine. And then your flesh is not divine. Human nature is a duality of divine and non-divine natures, inclinations, and drives. How does one know which one of these intrinsic natures is predominating in one's psyche? This subject is dealt with at great length in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16, which I'm going to read that. Yeah, I got called out by somebody on a comment saying, you've never even read the Bhagavad Gita. I'm going to read it. And I might even do a podcast refuting, or just like I'll highlight all of the weird stuff and then we'll talk about that. If that's their Bible, right? Okay. The symptoms associated with these two natures are as follows. So in other words, human nature is dual. Half of you is divine, the other half is not divine. And it really all has to do with your inclinations and drives. Now, which one of the two is predominant? It kind of depends on you. It depends on your actions. So in other words, if you are like a super duper like Hindu, like in the temple, like you're the guy that cleans and puts to bed his vara every day, right? You're a super duper Hindu. Your divine side is predominant.
Yeah.
But if you're the dude that runs the local 7-Eleven and kind of doesn't care, like he's just like a cab driver, he's not really religious, he's not really involved, has nothing, no icons on his wall, that guy, his human side is a little bit more, involved. One possessing the divine nature is destined for liberation from the cycle of rebirth. And one characterized by the non-divine is destined for bondage and repeated birth. So in other words, if your good side, if your divine side is predominant, you're eventually going to get your moksha. If the other side is mostly the predominant, then guess what? You're just going to keep doing the cycle of rebirth and birth. But I ask you a question. This is you. Obviously, you're not a Hindu, so you're dude. Like you're gonna be reborn. You're definitely not gonna be liberated, according to their thing. Mm-hmm. But then when you come back, you don't know what you were before.
Yeah.
So in other words, see, now I'm gonna get a deeper question because I don't think there's an answer to that here. Yourself, the one that it started out as a blade of grass. Then, since you live in Miami, whatever, you were a palm tree leaf thing, and then you became a sunflower, and then you became an ant, and then you became a cockroach, and then you became a French bulldog, and then you became a buffalo, and then you became a giraffe, and then you became a Florida panther, and then you became a human being. You were probably, I don't know, your name was, Ulrich. You're in Germany or whatever. But then now you're here. So you're my son now. Okay. So we fast forwarded 1,000 births and rebirths. All right, whatever. Because for instance, if you were grass, they just cut the grass today so that you died. So now you got to come back as something else. All right. Now I forgot the question. Wait. I know the question. If you don't remember what you were in your previous, when you were grass and when you were a monkey and you were a rhinoceros, if you don't remember any of that, is it you, Danny, that is working towards your dharma? Or is it the self? Is it the inside? And then if it's the self, since you don't know what yourself did before, how do you know if you could ever reach moksha or not? So in other words, if your self is shining bright, shine bright like a diamond, then you are on your way. Mm-hmm. But then you, Danny, your non-divine side, you don't know what yourself did in the past. All you could do is work on it now. But the problem that I have with that is, since you don't know what yourself did in the past, in other words, is your self preconditioned to be a forever rebirth or eventually a moksha? In other words, it isn't even you. You don't even play a part in this equation. It's yourself. But if you can't even talk to yourself because you don't know what yourself is, it's in there, it's part of you. Yeah. And then you don't know what yourself did in the past when he was grass. And then are you predestined for this cycle? How could you ever actually reach your liberation?
I think it's just for them, be a Hindu, I suppose.
No, but apparently everybody, even Adolf Hitler eventually is gonna go back into Brahmin.
I have to think that they assume everyone eventually turns into a Hindu in one of their lives. I assume, maybe. I don't know.
Okay, but what about their next life? If we read in the beginning, there's a minimum of 100,000 births and rebirths. History of humanity, 7,000 years. Do the math. Do the math. Even if you're grass for the first 50,000 births, all right, I'll give you that. Bird eats grass. The cow eats the grass. Ooh, you died. You come back as a hay. And then the cow eats a hay. You die. You come back. All right, I'll give the first 50,000. But then now the next. Okay, so what? You're a bumblebee. You sting an elephant. Okay, you die the day later. Okay, so that was a day, right? But then eventually you're going to become like a rhinoceros. You're going to live like 75 years or whatever, right? I mean, and then when you become a human, guess what? Human lives are 50, 60, 70 years. Do the math. We're only 6,000, 7,000 years old. Look, I'm sorry, Hindus that are listening to this. I know it might seem shocking. I know that you guys were born and raised into this. Just like when the Muslims hear stuff, I get it. But dudes, like guys, really, can you honestly, logically tell me that anything, like for instance, take the brainwash off of your head, like the washing machine that's currently sitting on your head, take it off. Depending on what group you are, it'll be a towel. Take that off. And listen to your religion logically. I'm not even saying, believe in Christ. No, I'm talking about your religion. Tell me how any of this makes sense. Tell me how there is hope for you. Tell me. I would like to know. Let's keep going. The Veda declares that this is perfect and that is perfect. From the perfect arises the perfect. When the perfect is taken from the perfect, what remains is perfect.
And where's the evil come?
I'm going to use that against him.
Yeah.
You just got me. Okay. When the perfect, in other words, a ray of sunshine of light from Brahman, because he is perfect, when the perfect is taken from the ray of sunshine from Brahman, I am the perfect. I am taken from Brahman, the perfect. What remains is perfect. Mm-hmm. That's logical deduction, right?
Yeah.
Because they like to use logic here. So then I ask you, once again, all you 2 billion Hindus right now in India, where did evil come from? What are you going to tell me? Oh, it's a moral nature. It's people of rise, they just don't want to do good. I'm like, I know they don't want to do good, but where did it start from? If everything created from Brahman is from the perfect, taken from the perfect, so what remains is perfect, where did the imperfect arrive? Let's see if they can tell us. Let's keep, because this chapter, we still got a little bit left to go. I mean, I skimmed it, but I didn't really read it. You want me to give you a hint? They're not going to give us an answer. They're not going to give us an answer because they have no answer. Because if they had an answer, none of this would be true. Because then guess what? Not everything that's a ray of sunshine from Brahman is perfect. It's just some the Dumbo that wrote a Veda suddenly, from the perfect and the perfect, everything that left is perfect. And then so I'm just supposed to believe that. Okay, so all right, now let's go from the first elevator, the first floor. Let's go to the second floor. Okay, so where did evil come from? Oh, it's a moral condition. Okay, let's go to the third floor. If everything that was made by Brahman is perfect, where did the imperfect come from? Oh, brother, no, you have to talk to somebody else. And then that's where the conversation ends. The conversation ends there. And then, maybe we share falafel. Types of sentient beings or a samosa. There are 6 types of sentient, or in other words, conscious beings in the universe dwelling in 6 realms. Man, I can't even get through the first sentence without laughing in this. Okay. So there are 6 types of conscious beings in the universe that dwell in 6 realms. All right. You got animals. You got hell beings. You got, go ahead and read the next one.
Hungry ghosts.
What do you mean?
Hungry ghosts.
So these are ghosts that are hungry. Like they're hangry. Like, who do you think? Okay, the first one I was okay with animals. The second one I was okay with because they technically don't really believe in a hell.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
They like kind of like a purgatory situation. All right, that's fine. But okay, hell beings. But then the third one, where did hungry ghosts come from? All right, let's see. The fourth one is humans. Okay, now we arrive. So in other words, animals are in a different realm than humans. Mm-hmm. So I guess my dog, he's a projection from another realm. Okay, I'll go with that. Oh, he's over there? That producer said he's over there. You got hungry ghosts. You got humans. Producer, you don't want to show the people Tom just so they can say hi to him?
He's knocked out over there.
He's sleeping? That's what he does all day. Laziest dog in the world. Telling you lazy, just lazy. See if he comes out in the thing. Yeah, this is... Can you see him?
Yeah.
Okay, there he is. Hey, Tom. Say hi to the camera. Oh, there you go. All right. All right, look, here's your buddy. See your buddy there with the horns? All right, see you later, buddy. Go back to sleep. All right, good night. So you got okay, so to go back, you got animals, you got hell beings, you have hungry ghosts, then you have humans, then you have gods, and then you have anti-gods. So in other words, these are sentient, conscious beings. They exist in the universe in 6 realms. A person can take birth in any one of these species. So in other words, you can be born as an animal. You can be born as a hell being. You can be born as a hungry ghost. Where do you get food if you're a hungry ghost? No, I'm just okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm just okay. Now I'm having fun with it. Okay, you're born as a hungry ghost. Is there like drive-throughs in the ghost world that like for ghost? Is there currency, like ghost currency, in order for you to purchase like a ghost dollar? Big Mac? Yeah. Like I don't know. What is it like? McDonald's has a like. Do you even need a drive-through? Because you're a ghost. You can float, right? You can fly, so you don't even need cars. All right, let's see if they give us answers. You can also be born as a human. Okay, you could be born as a god. And remember, being born as a god is not cool because you can't work out your karma. And of course, we never got an answer that if you're born as a god, aren't you eternal? So aren't you kind of stuck there forever? Okay, but no, there's no answer to that question. And also anti-gods. Okay, but then they said that the anti-gods are from their mythology books. All right, let's see what they say. A person can, I can understand why they call me a joker. A person can take birth in any one of these species. Once again, animals, hell beings, hungry ghosts, humans, gods, and anti-gods. In fact, these 6 realms exist, get this, simultaneously here and now. So right now, these 6 realms are basically all pancaked together. It's almost like what is the upside down world in Stranger Things?
That upside down.
That's what it's called?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. In the upside down, maybe that's where the hungry ghosts are at. I don't know. Or maybe it's kind of like what the Muslims believe, that there were 7 heavens, and then Allah just like, there was one heaven and he chopped it up into 7 heavens, but they're all on top of each other. A realm is called a loca. Yeah, that's what you are if you believe this stuff. All right? Just so you know, loca in Spanish is crazy. Crazy woman. A realm is called a loca in Sanskrit, which means a way of seeing reality. A way of seeing reality. I've never seen a hungry ghost, so I don't know what reality they're talking about. Or an anti-god. Like, I wonder what an anti-god looks like. We ourselves create these realms of existence in our present lives. Yeah, somebody did this 2,000 years ago, created it, and now all these people believe it. Let's see what they say. The animal realm mind state. This is the animal realm mind state. Toirac is characterized by the creation of defensive boundaries, by ignorances and laziness, and an obsession with self and self-preservation. So in other words, if you're in the animal realm mind state, remember all of these realms exist together. You are characterized by the creation of boundaries, by ignorance, laziness, and obsession with self and self-preservation. So in other words, a selfish, lazy person only cares about themselves. You could say that they're in the animal realm. All right. The hellish mind state is characterized by grief, self-pity, victimism, inability to let go of one's personal suffering. So in other words, the woe to me people. Woe to me. They're in the hellish mind state. The hungry ghost mind state, now they're going to explain to us what that is. is characterized by intense attachment, greed, and inability to share with others or to rejoice in the good fortunes of others.
So ghost is like antisocial, like you're not even there, I guess.
I don't know why they called it hungry ghost. I mean, we got stuck on the McDonald's bit, but it's intense attachment, greed, inability to share with others or to rejoice in others' good fortune. So in other words, the guy that only cares about himself, greedy.
Mm-hmm.
The anti-gods realm, these people are characterized by pride, egocentrism, and self-gratification. You notice that some of these kind of blur?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like really, hungry ghosts and anti-gods, they're I mean, there's people that have both of those things, you know? The gods realm, these people are characterized by compassion, goodness, and pride.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then the human mind is a mixture. Some human beings display the characteristics of gods, and others, like mass murderers or some dictators, are totally demonic. All categories of living beings are given countless opportunities for liberation.
So you have these 5 that are all individual, and then they just say humans could be any of them. So
In the cute how they just wrap it up.
Yeah.
They basically tell you that the animal is defensive, ignorant, lazy, self-preservation, obsessive. Then the hell-minded person is characterized by grief, self-pity. Woe to me, I'm the victim. Then the hungry ghost is greedy, inability to share with others. Then the anti-gods is prideful, egocentric, self-gratification. The God one is a good, compassion, pride, good person. But then they just sum all that weird stuff up. Those first 5, stupid. Makes no sense, just dumb. Then they say, oh, the 6th one, the human, could basically be a mixture of any of the first 5. Because I know darn well humans that are lazy, that are victims, that are greedy, that are prideful, and maybe have some goodness in them. The same person.
Yeah.
The same person. So in other words, to wrap all that up, they just tell you the number 6, the human realm. Yeah, it could be basically any one of those things. A mixture of them. Throw it all in the blender, mix it up. So then what's the point of the first 5?
Yeah.
Why not just say there are different types of personalities in the world? Some people exhibit laziness. Some people exhibit greed. Some people exhibit... Why do you have to give it to me, the ghost, hungry ghost? Like, why hungry ghost? Why anti-gods? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Just why? So, yeah, that's basically... They did not give us an answer on the origin of evil. At least I, from a Christian perspective, can give you lovely Hindus an answer. You guys obviously do not believe in Satan. Everything comes from Brahman. Everything is perfect. And if I'm perfect because I came from Brahman, Brahman is perfect. So then obviously I am perfect. So when did sin and evil enter the world? We read an entire chapter, got no answer. No answer.
And if anything, they skirted around the issue a little bit by just saying it's a moral problem.
Yeah, it's a moral behavioral thing.
Yeah.
Okay, but where did it come from?
Where does that come from?
Where did it come from? And I gave you the example of the little girl that stole a cookie and instinctively, without ever being taught to lie, lies. How? How did she? If she is a perfect projection of the perfect Brahmin, where did that 6-month-old, 1-year-old girl that stole an Oreo and she has the cookie dust all over her, the ring of her lips, where did she learn to lie? Give me an answer. Hey, write it in the comment section, because obviously you guys are hiding. You guys are running away. You guys don't want to actually give us answers. So.
And I saw somewhere here that it said nothing can be qualified as good or evil. I'm trying to look
Yeah.
for it.
I saw that. Yeah.
So then, if nothing could be qualified as good or evil, because then they say whatever, like the execution of a murderer is fine, but then a murderer just killing for fun isn't fine. I guess that makes sense, but at the same time, it's not an answer to the question of evil.
And eventually, nothing of it is of itself either good or evil. But because then they keep going back to, well, eventually he'll be real, he'll get his moksha eventually.
Yeah.
It'll just take him more births and rebirths, and reincarnation.
The next bit of this book is talking about sexual matters, which obviously we Christians generally take a very hardline approach on sexual matters. Only within the confines of a marriage can you express yourself sexually to another person. They, from what I read, they halfway agree, and then on a lot of points we just don't agree with them at all. So maybe you could give us some more detail here.
All right. I mean, obviously, one of their famous, the Kama Sutras and all of those, and the tantric sex, it's something that you get your mind connected with the other person's mind, and then like you experience this incredible like kind of connection with each other. Supposedly, the sorry to say this, but the orgasms are like way more powerful, way more intense, I guess. I don't know. I've never read that book. But this is what they say about sex. I'm going to read that first paragraph because after rereading it, I thought it was pretty interesting as a good intro. Mm-hmm. Sex is a perfectly natural act and is the highest form of enjoyment on the physical level. Through the act of procreation, a couple actually participate in the act of universal creation. So in other words, through sex, they are actually participating in the act of universal creation. Mm-hmm. That's kind of broad, but let's just see what they say. And I'm sorry for the language. This is their book. I'm just reading. The penis, and that's called lingam in Sanskrit, and the womb, yoni, are the tools of creation on this earthly plane and are therefore appropriate symbols of the act of creation on a universal and cosmic level. Mm-hmm. I guess they go further than just like we as Christians will say husband and wife unite to have children. They elevate the penis and the womb as being like the agents, the tools. And I like the way they call them tools of creation. That DeWalt doesn't sell. All right. And therefore, sex is... I'm sorry. Sometimes I say things that are so dumb. Sex is... I know the Hindus like, yes, we know. We say the same thing. Sex is, along with hunger and thirst, one of the most powerful driving forces of the human psyche. So this tremendous energy can also be harnessed and directed towards spiritual development. So now we're going to take sex and we're going to apply it to spiritual development. When I read that, I was like, all right. So in other words, through the proper sex, you can then work on your spiritual development, which will then get you your liberation. Mm. Repressing the sex drive is unnatural and leads to all kind of psychological problems. I'm sure many husbands would agree with that. Many traditional Hindu temples, particularly in the south of it, look how sick and perverted the south of India is. Particularly in the south of India, have images of copulating couples carved on pillars, walls, and on the facades of the temples. So, obviously for us, this is a shock.
Yeah.
For me to walk into a temple, we would say it's a holy place. And to see carved images of men and women having sex, right off the bat, me and you, from our presuppositions as Christians, we would say this is of the devil. This is of the devil. Mm-hmm. There's nobody, just like we say it is of the devil, that when you die as a Muslim man, you get 72 virgins and 300 little boys. Mm-hmm. Like, obviously, that's of the devil. Who would come up with that? Whereas in our version of heaven, you are neither married nor given into marriage. You are there to worship the awesome God. You are there to glorify the Creator. But no. In Islam, you get 72 virgins. And then in this one, look at that. They even put it in temples. Sorry, Hindus. I know this is a big deal for you guys. Just for us, this is profanity. Just saying. It's sorry, I'm using harsh. This is profanity for us. This is gross. That in a holy temple of Brahman, I'm going to say Brahman because that's your God, that you would actually have carved images of sex, pornography on the wall, on the pillars of pornography. It's actually a pretty good name. Pillars of Pornography.
There's even a picture here in the book, which is just.
Yeah. The book has a picture. Let me see if I could.
Well, I don't.
Zoom it in. No, they're definitely doing it, bro. Can you see?
Yeah. Yeah, you can see it.
You can see it good?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm letting them like observe, I don't want to just take it there and like it's obviously a dude and then a chick on top of him in a very weird position. Like she's almost backwards and then her it just like she's almost laying flat, being held up by two other chicks, and the other chicks don't got legs or their legs were chopped off. These carvings are there for the entertainment of the pilgrims, as well as depicting the highest joy of physical union, which is a tiny fraction of the supernatural bliss of union with the divine. So in other words, it's a tourist attraction.
Yeah.
People going, look at the guy and the girl and the other people. Now, what do they say about sexual relations? Unlike the Semitic religions, in other words, us, the Christians, Muslims, and Jews, where sex is often regarded a necessary evil meant for procreation alone, Sanatana Dharma teaches that sex is good, wholesome, and enjoyable, and can be indulged in for pure pleasure. Sacred literature, like the Kama Sutra, of international renown, was written by the sages in order to help us to realize the greatest potential for sensual enjoyment. There are, of course, strict codes of ethics governing sexual relations. Prohibited incestuous relations include not only parents and siblings, but also aunts, uncles, and cousins, as well as all members of the extended family and even clan. So in other words, never a family member.
Yeah.
So I'm good with them on that one. What about promiscuity? Okay. Sex before marriage is discouraged, the reason being paternity problems and social security for the girl. According to the ancient codes of law, an illegitimate child is one born of an adulterous relationship where the woman is married to someone else. A child born out of wedlock to an unmarried girl is not illegitimate according to Hindu law and must be adopted by the man who marries the mother. But in traditional Hindu society, it is extremely difficult, if not impossible, for a girl with a child to find a husband. And a girl without a husband to support her will lead a very unhappy and insecure life in Indian society. Mm-hmm. So in other words, obviously, they don't promote promiscuity because it will severely affect the girl. Funny enough, did you see it never mentioned anything about the guy? Yeah. Like really, the only thing that I mentioned about the guy is that he must, if he marries her, he has to adopt the kid. Yeah. All right, that's a given. But just like with the Muslims, there's nothing bad if a man goes around and sleeps around, so.
That's kind of another reason why I said they half agree with us, because they discourage sex before marriage like we do, but it's nothing of it is moral in that sense. It's all technical, legal, financial. Nothing about it has to do with, this is a bad thing that you're doing. Exactly.
Like for instance, we would have the same reasoning.
Yeah.
If a girl has sex before marriage and gets pregnant, and then the guy does not want to support or whatever, you would automatically say, oh man, she's like messed up. Like now she has a kid, like she has to figure it out, and then it obviously in our society, at least in America, we're a little bit more forgiving. Like, plenty of women out there with children, they get married and,
yeah, sure.
It's not a big deal. But in their society over there, it's a big thing in terms of society. However, like you said, no mention here of sin.
Yeah.
No mention here of you actually doing something that goes against the will of God, of you doing an act that is completely contrary to the purity and holiness of God. I'm sorry, Hindus. I know I'm going to get a bunch of bad comments for this one, but this is how you know you're following a religion from the devil. When it stops focusing on the holiness and the purity, and it puts everything to morality and social, economic situations. And
the self, yourself.
Yeah. Then yourself, and then and then you're reborn, and then you do this, and then you do that. Look, you know that this is a religion created by the devil when it takes away the fact that you are a sinner. Not like what this book here says that nothing is really good, nothing is really bad. It's all a moral condition, blah, blah, blah. You know that it's from the devil when it takes away your responsibility before a pure and holy God. You are created on this earth. You are now responsible for your actions before a pure and holy God. That is why we believe in a pure and holy God. We believe that pure and holy God came down right now. We celebrate now in Christmas, and he grew up, he gave his life so that when we believe in him, we are then cleansed of our sins, so then we could be reunited with a pure and holy God because we are sinners. We are in a sinful state. You know your religion is of the devil when it doesn't focus on that and it focuses on, oh, do good works. Oh, be good. Oh, but by the way, you're not going to know what you did before. You're not going to know who you were. Just deal with it. And then you'll come back. And then hopefully your next person, they're not going to know that they were Danny. And then eventually, bloop, 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 you'll be reabsorbed back into Brahman. But it doesn't talk about accountability. Like, you are accountable. Every time you sin, it is literally an affront to God. You are doing something against God and his nature. You have to answer for that. Just like when you go to school and you did something wrong, what happened? You got detention or you got a bad grade. Like, okay, why did you get that bad grade or why did you get detention? It's because you did something wrong and there's a penalty. You have to pay. Whenever you do something wrong, you got to pay for that. Now, imagine if I tell you have an entire lifetime full of mistakes. When you present yourself before a pure and holy God, you have to answer for that. But of course, they came up with their own thing here. They said, oh, we have our version of purgatory where you could rehabilitate. You could rehabilitate before you're reborn. And if you were a good guy, then you actually get to chill in heaven for a little while. If you were just a regular guy, then you're immediately reborn. And then this is how they play. This is how they play the game, the circle game. This is literally the circle of life. Lion King. It never ends.
Yeah.
The circle of life. It just doesn't end. But people believe in this, and I don't get it. Let's keep going. What do they believe about prostitution? In ancient India, prostitutes had a respectable place in society, like that of the geishas of Japan. They were public women who were well educated in the arts and music and dance. They were indispensable at all public religious functions, and in all religious as well as civic processions were always in the vanguard. The sages realized thousands of years ago that many men have insatiable sexual appetites, which could place a strain upon marital relations, thus threatening the family unit. I haven't even got through the whole thing. Just up until where I've read already. Does this sound like it comes from God?
No.
Does this sound like it comes from God? No. That back in the old days, they had prostitutes that were educated, and because men were insatiable and their wives could not satisfy them, then God created this. This is okay. It's okay to have prostitution. Yeah, because that comes from God. Yeah, because I heard Jesus say that prostitution is cool.
And it's already just like, why are you trying to create ways to excuse men instead of just like telling them to be responsible or accountable?
Exactly. Yeah. The sages, I'm going to read that sentence again. The sages realized thousands of years ago that many men have insatiable sexual appetites. But get this, look at how they explain it away. Insatiable sexual appetites, which could place a strain upon marital relations. Isn't it crazy how they explain that? Look, I'm a guru. I'm a sage. I realize that my friend over here, Patel, he likes sex, but Patel wife, she no like. So instead of them getting divorced or having problem in the house, this is what we come up with. So this guru, just like Muhammad suddenly received revelation from Allah that he can have all these wives and he can marry a 6-year-old. The same way these sages, they came up with it. Put a strain upon marital relations, thus threatening the family unit and by extension, the entire, get this, fabric of society. Because homeboy has a constant thirst for the womb, let's just say, and he can't get enough of the womb from his wife. These very intelligent guys, in order to save society, we are saving society, boys and girls. In order to save society, they come up with prostitution's okay. Prostitution's okay to save society. Boy, I'm telling you, boy, this is worse than what the Muslims say.
Yeah.
Like, this is even worse. All right. Yes, Hindus, you guys are worse than Muslims, and I know you guys hate each other. So in their wisdom, the sages' wisdom, get this. Provision was made for such persons to gratify their desires. Because it's all about your desires, right? There's no self-control, huh? There's no like, you know what? I'm going to be with my wife and yeah, maybe I would like to have it XYZ, but all right, I'll get it this time. And I will exercise self-control. Why not teach an actual holy religion that exercises self-control? What is one of the fruit of the Spirit, Junior?
Discipline, self-control.
Self-control. Yeah. God, through the Apostle Paul, one of the fruit of the Spirit, self-control. But no. Now you know it's from the devil. Yeah. No self-control. All right. Man, I'm going to get a lot of bad comments for this one. Prostitution is seen merely as a fact of human life and as an economic, get this, transaction involving mutually consenting adults and therefore unworthy of any moral judgment. When you remove the moral judgment from something like prostitution, you know you're of the devil. All right. I give it. Look, we've spent 5-6 podcasts already. That's it. This is how you know it's of the devil.
Yeah.
Sorry, Hindus. This is how you know your religion is of the devil. When prostitution is excused and it actually is created for the betterment of society. So how could something like prostitution, you tell me, be created to better society? And then since it is an economic transaction and it is a fact of human life, no self-control between adults, it is not worthy of any moral judgment. This is literally Satan blinding the eyes of people, saying, ha ha ha, I'm going to let them have prostitution. But guess what? I'm not going to say that it's bad. I'm going to say that it's for the betterment of society. These Hindus get me fired up, man. Ancient Indian kings regulated and taxed the industry. So ancient kings, actually, they had regulations, laws, and they had taxes.
Yeah.
Now, what about homosexuals? Yeah, read the first couple lines so I can read the thing.
On the subject of sex, it needs to be mentioned that gay issues are constantly receiving attention in Western media and political agendas, and are non-event in Hinduism. The sacred scriptures inform us that all individuals are born with a propensity to be either heterosexual or homosexual. Homosexuals, both male and female, are born this way due to karmic circumstances. They are not created by social circumstances, nor is there a conscious choice in the matter of sexual orientation. Already, I just feel like, I guess in a way, the way my views align is that some people do incline to be hetero or homosexual, obviously, like all of us here, heterosexual. But the whole point is that you're supposed to be suppressing your intrinsic human evil desires to be able to pursue God's righteousness.
Exactly. I mean, obviously, we believe that God creates everything good. But then there also is an argument that after the fall, that God's original creation of everything good was distorted in certain ways. This is obviously a subject that we struggle with. I've struggled with over the years. I mean, there's some kids that when they're little, like they show very homosexual like behavior patterns, you know, independent of any changes that they may have had. So obviously that's the big debate. Obviously the Christian right says that they are born perfect, that they are created gay, they are made gay. But then the Hindus believe that they are born that way. But now I'm going to ask you a question. Are you? Let's just assume that you're a gay Hindu. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Are you gay or is yourself gay? No, I'm right. Okay.
Because it says karmic circumstances.
Is yourself the one that's gay, or is it you, the human flesh, that is gay? And then how does that work together with yourself, with your divine being? But then again, for them, being gay is not bad.
Yeah, it says it's not a question of moral evil or wickedness.
Yeah. So once again, now you know. Sorry, Hindus. Look. I don't have a problem with homosexuals. I just say that it is a sin. The Bible says that it is a sin. A man shall not lay with another man as he lays with a woman. Independent. I'm not here calling out the homosexuals. I'm not. I love everybody. Like if you guys would actually know me in real life, you know that I love everybody. I'm not one of these bashers. I'm only telling you what the Bible tells me, what my Christian beliefs tell me. But the fact that for you guys it is a non-starter, it isn't a big deal, really doesn't really matter. It's that they're born that way. But then once again, I ask, is it the self or is it you, like the human? And then, for instance, let's just say you're gay now, but then when you die and then you reincarnate, could you be heterosexual then?
I guess. And it says karmic circumstances, so is it bad or whatever karma that leads to you being hetero or homosexual?
In other words, karmic circumstances, they are not created by social circumstance, nor is there conscious choice in the matter of sexual orientation. Okay, let's keep reading, just because I have questions, but they might be answers here. The question of moral evil or wickedness does not arise in the case of natural disposition. So in other words, moral evil or wickedness, it doesn't line up with they believe that your natural disposition is to be either heterosexual or homosexual. The victimization, discrimination, or marginalization of gays, which occurs in Western society due to Judeo-Christo-Islamic moral precepts, is wrong and contradicts the teachings of the Dharma. So they didn't give us an answer. The sages and preceptors have been concerned with the serious issues of human suffering, enlightenment, and liberation, not with genital activity. They have never addressed this issue, and none of the lawgivers have made a big deal about it. In fact, there is no mention of homosexuality in any of the catalogs of sins that one finds in the Hindu scriptures. As long as neither is a victim, it remains a matter of no consequence and not worthy of any serious mental expenditure. All gay relationships should conform with the general principles governing all relationships. There should be honesty, kindness, compassion, mutual growth. So they didn't give us an answer.
But it's no sin, I guess.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
Being gay is cool.
It's just the same as being heterosexual.
Are there like tons of gays over there in India?
I don't know. I wouldn't know.
Well, okay, but let's go back to this. They're born this way due to karmic circumstances.
Yeah.
They are not created by social circumstances. So in other words, they are created by karmic circumstances, not by society. So in other words, they believe that you're born gay.
Yeah, no matter what.
You're okay. So is it you, Danny, or is it yourself that's gay?
I'm not sure. I don't even know how the self really works.
The self is the divine. It's from Brahman. Yeah. It is perfect. But obviously being gay is not perfect. I mean, it's not wrong. So in other words, being gay does not constitute being imperfect to them. It is not a sin. It is not wrong. So in other words, are you gay or is yourself gay?
Well, the reason I say I don't understand, because I guess from a Christian perspective, the soul is come down when you're conceived, right? And then God will wrap you in flesh. He'll knit you in the womb, as David says in the Psalms. And then you're born and you're created a certain way. I don't know. Is that how the self works, or is the human body conformed to the personality of the self? That's the question I have.
Dude, we've done 5 podcasts. We still don't know.
Yeah.
We still don't know. There's no answers. Because the thing is that they open up dialogue here that we read, but then they don't explain it.
Yeah.
So then we're left with all of these questions from a Christian presupposition. But then I just wonder, they say you're born this way due to karmic circumstances. Okay, let's break that down. Is it because your past karma, you were bad?
I suppose.
So then now you're being gay, but being gay is not bad for them. That's the thing. It doesn't jive. Or is it due to is it yourself is gay?
Yeah, like when you die and if you're reborn, are you going to naturally be gay again?
because it says that you are born this way due to karmic circumstances.
Yeah.
But they don't really tell us what karmic circumstances is. So yeah, that's what they think about that.
It's like one of those things that feels like it would just be easier to say you're born the way you are.
Yeah. Look, in other words, if you go to India, it's okay to be gay. It's all good, right? And then to end this one, what do they say about transvestites or transsexuals? Popularly known as eunuchs due to their either emasculating themselves or simply cross-dressing, these people also have a place in mainstream Hindu society. They can be seen all over India at... Man, you know this is from the devil, man. When they're cool with the gays, when they're cool with transsexuals, when they're cool with the cross-dressing. I mean, like, in other words, there's no sin here.
Yeah.
Like, no one is doing evil in the eyes of the Lord here. They can be seen all over India at social and religious functions, even religious functions. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Social, okay, whatever. You go to South Beach right now, there's a bunch of people out there. But religious functions, dancing and singing as their presence is regarded, get this, Gordy, is regarded as good men by some communities. So in other words, some communities say, oh, they're awesome, they're great, they're cool, they're fun, they're the life of the party. Oh, you're going to love this one. Look at this. They have a patron goddess known as Baukara Mata. They even have a goddess, dude.
Yeah.
And a pilgrimage center in Gujarat. They even have a pilgrimage center. So in other words, in Gujarat, that's their Mecca. That's their Mecca. All of the transsexual Hindus, they go to Gujarat and they do pilgrimage there. There are also annual festivals in various places in India attended by thousands of eunuchs.
Wow. You would have never known.
I literally never would have known.
Yeah.
I when I think of India, I think of the Taj Mahal, I think of curries. The last thing I think of is this.
Yeah.
Like this, that they literally have a pilgrimage and they have a goddess. Okay. All right. So you're still gonna try to tell me that this is a godly religion?
I find it, after going through Islam and now this, how each of them have their own things that they find are okay, that we think is sin, and things that they think are evil.
Mm-hmm.
Like with Islam, traditionally they find it fine to kill people and stuff if it goes with their the jihad.
Yeah.
But then here, you can't kill anyone, you can't hurt anyone, you can't even touch anyone.
No, that's bad.
But you could have sex with basically whoever you want.
You could be a prostitute. They actually created prostitution because they saw that society would have been damaged because some men couldn't control themselves. So and the answer to that is, let's make prostitution. And then, if you're a eunuch or a transvestite, we're even going to give you a god. We're even going to give you a pilgrimage site. They're going to give you a Kaaba. I'm imagine that it must be a place that has the rainbow flag just everywhere or whatever, so.
It's just very, very odd, and just... The only thing that I saw according to sex that is sinful is just straight adultery. That's the only thing that I would have seen from that book.
Yeah.
But then adultery with a prostitute is fine.
But how you see how now that we talk about these religions, how when you open the door to what they believe, how you see, number one, it's not a religion from God. Number two, you could see the workings of Satan in it, even though they don't believe in Satan. I believe in Satan. I believe Satan created this religion to be able to get people away from the true path, which is Christ. And then when you just see the depravity, when you see that they literally got temples with carvings of people having sex, where's the modesty at? Where's the, just like what we talked about the Muslims, now with the Hindus, it's when you have the glorification of carnal things, when you have carnal things being put up as good, what does the Bible clearly tell us? In the end times, what is good, they will call bad. What is bad, they will call good. Mm-hmm. So you have things that in a regular society are things that would be considered taboo, would be considered things that maybe, we don't go there. But when you have the glorification of those things, they just put it out there, you know that that's not from a pure holy God. You know that there's something else at work there, and that something else is the hand of Satan. So,
Amen.
where are we at?
Hour 10.
Ooh.
Yeah, it took us a bit longer than I thought it would.
Yeah, you know that I look. We've only done 5 pages today.
Yeah, I know.
Well, because these were 2 really big topics, though, like sin and sex.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That is only because in the Christian world, those are 2 very big things.
Yeah.
You know, number 1, sin, and then number 2, sex, marriage. You know, it's something that it isn't spoken about. There's a certain level of decorum.
Yeah.
We don't just throw it out in each other's faces. But then when we go through their books, man, I mean, it's hard not to talk about like what they believe in. So it's just nutty.
Especially as a Christian, these past few decades, sexuality and sexual expression has become a big thing in the church just because it's been way more open in society than it used to be. So it's something important to us to at least for discussion and discourse.
Yeah, we could do these next couple ones because they're really short.
Yeah,
they're it's only a paragraph.
You didn't highlight anything for astrology, but do you want to?
I did highlight. I just
mine
maybe
there
didn't give it to you. Yeah,
yeah.
it's on the first paragraph.
Okay. You want me to read it?
Yeah, this is just so you guys know, this is their beliefs on astrology. You know, we think astrology is fake, false, of the devil, but this is what they believe.
Astrology is a branch of the Vedas and is thus divine science, which was cognized by the great sages for the guidance of humankind. Astrology shows us the karmic potential which each of us has brought over from the previous life. It is the greatest tool for self-realization, self-mastery, and spiritual development. It harmonizes with and competes the doctrine that Asvara is perfect, or completes, not competes. Free from all imputation of indifference, partiality, or capriciousness. After having placed us in the wilderness of life to work out our karmas, he has then given us a manual and guidelines to understand ourselves, our situation, and the best way of reaching the goal, going back to the Godhead. So essentially, astrology just is.
Did they tell you anything?
No, not really.
It's an entire paragraph. They said nothing. They literally said nothing. And I'm actually reading through the next paragraph, and I don't even see anything.
Is astrology like the same thing that we see, like with the Capricorn and all that stuff?
Yeah, all of that stuff. Yeah. So astrologers in Hindu society are the traditional psychologists, psychoanalysts, and counselors and therapists. They are consulted on every major issue, and they decide the timings of all important events such as marriages, house moving, opening businesses, etc. What? So wait, so astrologers are psychologists, psychoanalysts, counselors, and therapists. They are consulted on every major issue in life, and they decide the timings of all important events such as marriages, house moving. What?
So like the position of the stars and the constellations, like things like when to move out of your place.
Dude, they just got really nutty on this. Astrology is a language, and so therefore the question of believing is ludicrous. Through the interpretation of the symbols used in astrology, we can attain insight into ourselves and understanding of the universe around us, and can reach a state of spiritual balance and harmony with nature and society.
This one feels like just crazy.
This is too much.
Especially from even like just not even Christian, just a Western viewpoint. It just feels
okay. But see, because once again, they didn't see that second paragraph got me weird because the astrologers are psychologists, therapists, and then they are consulted. But is this talking about like Gemini and Capricorn?
That's
and
what I was
Cancer?
wondering. Like maybe it's something different for them. I think
because I know in the newspaper they put like a thing every day, like
it's
little
like just for that day. Like this is gonna be a good day for you. Like it's kind of luck based, I guess.
So in other words, the astrologers are the people that like are specialized in that.
Yeah.
And you go to them for like, it's almost like the palm reader people or the crystal ball people. All right. Weird.
That's something that, again, like probably we would have never known unless we read about it.
No, right? I mean, I just thought it was like that dude that used to be on the Spanish TV station.
Yeah.
What was his name? What? The old guy. Yeah,
Can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah, I'm saying this. My mom is probably like, se llama blah.
And then the next little bit is Sanatana Dharma and the other faiths, which I guess is just how they should be talking to and reacting to other faiths.
Yeah, I guess all religions are to be respected and accommodated. In other words, the role of Sanatana Dharma, which is their daily walk, their religious living, and other faiths.
Yeah.
In other words, this is how we treat other people. All religions are to be respected and accommodated, and all spirituality is to be accepted as valid as long as the practices and beliefs also encompass universal compassion and non-injury to any living being. For a religious system to be considered valid from the Hindu point of view, it must fulfill certain conditions. So in other words, we're cool with Christianity as long as Christianity does not promote like murder and death and all of that. That's why the Hindus and the Muslims are always fighting, because the Muslims are always violent and all that. Okay, these are the conditions for another religion to be valid to the Hindus. It must be, number one, be founded on truth. Oh, Guate Mercado. That's the guy's name. Walter Mercado was the guy's name. I think he's dead, right? Yeah, he's dead. Okay. Yeah, he used to go out there with these weird, really like flamboyant outfits and like, you know, I don't know. It was a thing. We're in Miami, you know. The Cubans look for things and then they make it into a thing. Okay, so wait. But see, because I really want to focus on this right now.
Yeah.
For a religious system to be considered valid from the Hindu point of view. So in other words, if you're a Hindu and then suddenly out of nowhere in your neighborhood, a Christian walks in and wants to open up a church. In order for it to be valid in the eyes of a Hindu, it has to fulfill conditions. What is the first condition?
It must be founded on truth. Which already just makes no, like, how is it?
You're a Hindu.
Yeah.
That's a different belief.
Our truth is completely different than theirs.
'Cause my truth is Jesus Christ came, died, resurrected, and has given me access to him in heaven and a promise of future eternal life. He is the way, the truth, and the life. John 14:6. That is my truth. But how are you going to interpret my religion as being truthful if you don't believe in Jesus Christ?
Even just logically, like any other religion, it's not truth. It can't be truth. If yours is true, nothing else is true.
Go expound on that, because I love what you just thought of.
Because if you're a Hindu and you say it must be founded on truth, automatically every other religion is not truthful to yours. It's not true. Everything else is false.
If you are a Hindu and you believe that you are a projection from Brahman, you are a ray of sunshine from Brahman, you are the perfect that came from the perfect, thus you are perfect, that is your belief. You believe in Brahman and his girlfriend, and they projected as Vara. Vara projects as Brahma, as Vishnu, as Shiva, and their three girlfriends. And then you got the creator, the sustainer, and then you have the dissolver, the destroyer. That's your truth. That's the truth you believe. That's the sages that have been telling you all of this crap for years. That's your truth. But how are you gonna consider my religion valid because it's based on truth? Because my truth is Jesus Christ. Your truth is Vara. Right off the bat, the first one. Let's keep going. It must be objectively, universally beneficial.
But then again, how do you...
Once again, if I believe I'm a Christian and I move into your neighborhood and I start preaching and I start converting all of your friends over to Christianity because they discover the way, the truth, and the life, how is it universally beneficial to the Hindu?
Yeah. And there's like one point where I almost like think the Muslims are better than the Hindus on this point, where it's like, at least they would say it's not beneficial because you're preaching to my Hindus. What are you doing? Whereas they say, oh, morally, like, whatever, you're not hurting anyone. It doesn't matter. Do whatever you want.
In other words, all roads lead to God.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're a Christian or a Hindu or a Muslim.
Because morally, you're not doing anything to harm anyone.
The third one, it must have an aesthetic component.
What does that mean?
I have no idea.
So like
when I read that, I had no idea. I don't know. Aesthetic?
Like what? Like
what is aesthetic?
They want like statues and paintings and stuff.
What does aesthetic mean? Isn't it like a look?
Well, yeah,
like a look.
Yeah.
So it must have a look component.
That one seems a little vain. That doesn't make any sense.
That makes no sense. Okay, the fourth one, it must bring peace to the practitioner and to others. Amen. Jesus Christ brought peace. And then the fifth one, it must be a source of personal joy and satisfaction. Some of their reasonings are just so dumb. Like, it's just like, it must be a source of personal joy and satisfaction.
I mean, it is for us.
Yeah, no, it's definitely joy for us. Joy to the world. Joy to the world. It's joy for us.
I think let's do the next two because, like you said, it's only a paragraph, and then, or maybe even the sacred cows thing is interesting. But
No. The cows, I need time.
Yeah.
I need time for the cows.
Okay. Well, preaching and converting is the next thing. Basically, just to really quickly, they don't care to go out and convert people, like missionary work and stuff like we do. Maybe give us a little bit more info, but it's
it's like you said, they see no need to convert others because each and every person is pursuing the path according to their conditioning. So in other words, I'm pursuing my path according to my conditioning. You're pursuing your path, so there's no really need to go convert people. Some people are in a spiritual garden, some are in preschool, some are in tertiary spiritual education, each person advancing at their own pace. If God is omnipotent, he can accept our worship and prayer in whatever way he chooses. If God is omnipresent, we can worship him in any way or place we choose. If God is omniscient, he knows the sincerity of our hearts and our innermost thoughts without us having to verbalize them. Therefore, there is no need to actively proselytize. If someone wishes to join Sanatana Dharma as their chosen path to liberation, they are welcome. So in other words, they're not going to knock on your doors on a Saturday morning. They're not going to be outside of Dollar Tree with a cart. They're not going to, they don't see. They look at everybody as doing their own thing, and they're on their journey, and they'll eventually find their way to liberation. It might take, another 100,000 births and rebirths, but they're doing their thing. So, no need to actually go out there and save lives and save souls, which is just fine,
I guess it's better for us at that point. But it's like...
Yeah, because they're not converting new people over to this falsehood.
It's just the way they view it is completely different from us, where obviously, I guess us are more Calvinistic. We don't believe that we are the ones changing their lives. But we're kind of like the person introducing the door, and then God can open that door for the person.
Exactly. And of course, we as Christians are opposite. Matthew chapter 28, the Great Commission, we are called to go out there and preach the gospel to all the ends of the earth. So,
and then maybe last one for today is Sanatana Dharma and the environment.
Yeah, this is their views on the actual, like the environmentalist, how they view that. They say that the earth is envisioned to be a goddess, and one of the two consorts of Lord Vishnu is the preserver of the Trinity. Their earth therefore needs to be treated as a goddess with love and veneration. So the earth is one of the two consorts. So in other words, the earth is one of the girlfriends of Vishnu. Mm-hmm. Vishnu, remember, is the sustainer. He sustains the world. The two consorts, or Vishnu, he is the preserver of the Trinity, or the sustainer. And therefore, the earth should be treated as a goddess with love and veneration. The Hindu attitude is one of symbiosis. Every living thing encases a self. Remember, the self. Every living thing is a self. The ants, the bumblebees, the mosquitoes down here in Florida, they're all selves. They're all something, someone, which is a photon of divine light from the gods, from the gods down to a blade of grass. Everything that is okay. So now I ask you a question. I haven't asked you this question before. When you were in kindergarten or in first grade, the teacher brought out these styrofoam cups, and she gave everybody a scoop of dirt, and then she gave you a seed. Okay. She gave you a seed, right? And then you put the seed in there, you covered it, and then she says, put a little bit of water, right? You put the water. The next day you came back, maybe not. But by the second or third day, you already got a little dude coming out, right? That's a self. Question for you. Was that self a ray of light when it became the plant or the seed? Oh.
I think
Ooh. In other words, when did that light go from Brahman to being that little things that started coming out of the dirt? Was it the minute you put the thing in there and you put water on it? Did the light come from Brahman? Or was it in the seed? And is the seed, maybe the seed is the purgatory. And then the actual you coming back to life is when the thing comes out of the cup. I'm asking you a question for real. Like, what is your answer? Come on, dude. You're trying to get me to convert. All right, come on. Let's keep going. Every living thing encases itself, which is a photon of divine light from the gods down to a blade of grass. We are only one of many species that coexist in the universe. We should try to dwell in harmony with all beings. And being the most intelligent, it is our duty to protect and care for all the other weaker species. Orthodox Hindus will refrain from eating meat because in our innumerable births, almost every living creature was at some time related to us. It is also cruel for us to gratify our taste buds on the flesh of other living beings. Meat eating is unnecessary and incompatible with spiritual life, which is based on the concept of love and compassion. And then they also talk about trees. If a tree is cut down, there is a ritual in which the necessity is explained to the spiritual entities living in the tree, and their forgiveness is requested. So in other words, in India, when they chop down a tree, they have like a service, like a ritual. And they're like, they tell the self that just got chopped down, look, we're sorry. We need the wood because we're building a house. Forgive us for our transgression of cutting you down. They literally do a ritual to a tree.
Yeah.
Did you hear what I just said? Rivers are all goddesses, and reservoirs of water are all sacred places. Polluting them is strictly forbidden, but due to industrialization and westernization, there are very few unpolluted waterways in India itself today. And that's true, man. If you look at the pictures, man, their water is like brown. Like it's just filthy and it's gross. So that's what they think about this, the environment. They don't eat the hardcore ones don't eat other animals. They think it's mean, it's messed up. You're eating another self. Like I said, I don't know how fast food survives over there unless it's all falafels or what are chickpeas. And then whenever they cut down a tree, they do a whole service asking the tree for forgiveness. And then all the water sucks now in India, basically, because of industrialization. So,
I mean, I know they say that as the most intelligent species on Earth, that we are tasked with the ones, I guess, making sure everything is okay. But at the same time, logically, how comes we have to do that? Like a lion is eating a gazelle as we speak right now.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Yeah, you as a human, you don't eat meat, but then when you were a lion, you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
All right.
So just because we're a little smarter, now we have to protect everyone.
Yeah, now and stop eating meaty chickpeas. Eat lentils.
But also the grass or whatever you eat is also a weaker species you should be protecting, no?
Yeah, like in other words, who's fighting for the lentil? Who's fighting for the chickpea? Like in other words, the chickpea tree, every time you strip her of her chickpeas, you're stealing her babies.
Yeah.
So, okay, now we're getting deep. Now we get more hate to give comments. All right, let's wrap this up.
Yeah, but I think that's why important that the Bible says in Genesis that man was giving dominion over all on earth.
Exactly.
Realistically, it's the opposite. As the smartest species, we're giving dominion to control things, not to just only protect things. So.
Exactly. Yeah. We are to lord over. We are in charge of it. Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah. Next week we're gonna start out with sacred cows. I know my mom's been wanting to hear about the cow thing for a while. So
that one's going to be exciting.
Yeah, we'll give her some of the cows.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. Again, I know the Hindus probably won't enjoy this, but if you're not a Hindu and you enjoy it, if you're a Christian or an atheist, whatever it is, please like and subscribe. It helps us out to get more people watching. So thank you guys.
Or if you're an ex-Hindu, you're probably laughing with us. Anyway, I'm just saying.
All right. See you guys next week.
God bless you all. Seriously.